I'll count 5 seconds.
This is in the way. You don't want to speed on. Okay.
Welcome very, very much to Conversation. A pleasure to welcome to the program John Mann, and he's a historian and a filmmaker, and he's got a very interesting story to tell that we're going to be elucidating in this hour program. And John, welcome so much to Manhattan Neighborhood Network and to Conversations.
Thank you, Harold. It's a privilege and an honor.
I've had a lot of fun with you over these past couple of days. We've been, been doing some work around here with your friends and associates and everything. But I wonder if you could share with me, born and raised, where you're born and raised, and that sort of thing. And let's just talk about that. And I know you're both a historian and you're also a filmmaker, and you're also, I know you happen to have a great interest in the personage of Abraham Lincoln and as a collector in a sense. But
Yeah.
Born and raised, let's start with that.
Grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, born in South San Francisco. Grew up on the peninsula, had a wonderful, idyllic childhood. 2 siblings. I'm what's called the PMC,
What's that?
the problemed middle child. And
That's new to me. I like that.
well,
yeah, proud of middle child.
Yeah, and 2 parents who were wonderful, nurturing, extremely intelligent people who always emphasized individuality and pursuit of knowledge.
Knowledge and justice and humor.
All 3.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? That's really important.
It's probably the best foundation you can give.
Which of
anyone.
those? I was talking about integrity and knowledge and humor. Which
All of
them?
them.
All 3.
All 3. My dad instilled in me very much a sense that everyone deserved to be treated with dignity, no matter what they did and who they were and where they came from. And my mother gave me the perspective that there's balance to everything and there's humor in everything. My father's sense of humor is about as dry and oh my God, he could tell a story. He's a pun maker.
Oh, really?
Oh, he loves the
puns.
puns.
That's a great form of art.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. He's still with us. Then?
My father
Okay, good
is.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I lost my mother, and I think the project we're working on now has a lot to do with my mother's final period. I've spent a great deal of my life as a historian and as a storyteller and as a filmmaker telling stories and recording other people and documenting their lives, which we're hoping to do now with you. And I experienced the loss of my mother. It was expected. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't tragic. But Miriam Mann was a wonderful woman, a great mother, a great grandmother, and with my siblings, we had to empty out her apartment.
Here in New York?
In California, in San Francisco. And in 2 days, we donated to Goodwill, threw out, discarded, got rid of everything. And to me, it felt like I was throwing away her life.
Wow.
But these possessions weren't Miriam Mann, but they were, to a degree, touchstones to who she was. And my real fear, suddenly I was overwhelmed with, she didn't write a book. She didn't, in 40 years, there'll be no one left alive who knew her. And I thought...
Is there sadness in that, maybe, or not?
It overwhelmed me with sadness, and then I thought, well, wait a minute, the history of man, you've spoken to me about how it's all changing so much in the first 200,000 years, and now it's changing exponentially.
Yeah, that's a pretty long run, isn't it, as they say in Broadway? 200,000 years we've been here.
Yeah.
That's a long run.
But our
for
lives,
this show, yes.
Well, you haven't been on that long, have you?
No, that's true. No, my mind just went that way for a moment, Yeah.
But I think it's something. I was speaking with your son, David, who says that part of the human condition is we want to leave a mark, and that's ingrained in us biologically. And that's something that I think you don't fight, you accept, you embrace. And my mother, to the extent she raised me, to the extent I don't have children, but I touch other people's lives, she lives on, and it's passed down.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, I guess that is true, yeah. Well said and everything. And how long ago did she pass, if I may?
6 years now.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
Time, I guess time does heal, doesn't it?
It does, and I'm certain
the loss, like the immediate loss,
you've spoken to me of your mother, and your love for her doesn't diminish over time.
That's true, yeah. She happened to be, it's a little bit, you're talking about leaving a mark and everything. In my humble opinion, it's a little bit because she's left a serious mark, because I think she was, well, it's really something. I mean, Abraham Lincoln was a great leader and everything, but I think she has left a mark as the best mother in the history of mankind. That's my humble opinion. That's my humble, unvarnished opinion and unprejudiced opinion.
I'll say one of two.
Without doubt.
Okay.
All
right.
Anyway, that's that. But anyway, what about some education? Did you go to education out there?
I got an undergraduate degree at Vassar.
Really? Yeah, with all the ladies? Well, wait a minute. You're the only guy there? What a paradise.
I wish the numbers worked in my favor, but actually my class, by the time they went co-ed 30 years before I got there.
Oh, they've been co-ed. They're associated with it being a ladies' college.
One of the Seven Sisters schools. Yeah,
are there 7 ladies' colleges?
Yeah, but I think most of them have now gone co-ed.
I don't think they have to have ladies' colleges anymore.
No, there's no need for single
co-ed,
sex. Yeah.
They seem to have come a long way, baby, as they say in a song or something. They've come a long way from the old days.
They have. But there's something to be honored and loved about the tradition, the old. I'm a sentimentalist.
I am too, really. Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm a softie.
I like old music. I like old movies.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
But
and I'm glad the women have been around, aren't you? I mean, they're really a nice part of the whole picture. Can you imagine having a world of nothing but men?
No.
My God, I would shudder at the thought.
No.
They bring a little class and a little understanding and a little intuition, and all the most important issues are of what is normally thought of as like a feminine thing, I think.
And
men are just shooting each other with pistols and whatnot.
And that's what I was going to say.
I'm going to kill you faster than you're going to kill me or some baloney.
How wonderful would it be if women actually did run the world?
What would it be? Wait a minute. I don't know. Do we want to go? Maybe. Well, it's a thought.
I'm not saying we need a matriarchal society, but certainly a few more world leaders.
I think we need both, don't we? We need both.
I guess.
Left,
yin
right,
and yang.
Yin and yang, and left and right, and up and down, and all that. And everything. So. Anyway, so then you went to Vassar and studied what?
I got my undergraduate degree in history.
History. There's a lot of it.
There is a wonderful tapestry of what came before. Hopefully,
did you focus on any particular area?
My area was 20th century. I did a lot with. I've become a passionate student of Abraham Lincoln and 19th century history, but my field was in school, World War II and 20th century geopolitical relations. And I got an MBA because I thought I needed...
Masters of Business Administration?
Yeah, I thought I needed a union card. I deluded myself into thinking I needed that trade certificate.
Right.
And you know how much I used it?
I have no way of knowing.
0.0.
That's really low.
Oh, I'm the only person with an MBA from NYU who still can't add.
You can't add, right? Really?
No.
Thank goodness for these machines that'll do it for you, right?
No.
They're
Thank
called.
goodness for having people in your life who can do it for you.
Well, I was going to add, or
Yeah,
a really good
yeah.
secretary who can keep you on the track and everything. I think we'd be lost maybe without it. So you were a history major, right?
Yep. Yep.
And did you have any? And you were focused in the contemporary, or more or less, or?
Yeah, and
Why did you were interested in this guy Abraham Lincoln? Why didn't you pick somebody that had some real oomph to history, or somebody that had some real purpose, or some meaning, or something worthwhile, rather than just another Nordewell out of Tennessee or something? You know, some nobody, Abraham Lincoln. Why did you bother with him?
So you had asked me about the common thread between my being a historian and a filmmaker.
Yeah, right.
The common thread is storytelling.
Yes, okay,
I love to tell stories.
Oh, really?
Abraham Lincoln not only was a great storyteller,
yeah.
He is the launching point for so many stories. He is the true American.
Yeah.
Came from nothing, self-educated, autodidact, rose above incredible.
You like autodidact?
I do.
I do too. That's self-teach, self-taught.
Self-learned. And
self-learned.
Abraham Lincoln, the man overcame adversity.
Yeah.
He suffered from depression.
Yeah.
He had periods where he was paralyzed, and he became the greatest, in my mind, the greatest man to change humanity.
Yeah, right, on a large scale, and just a horrible period of time. You know, the Civil War was awful. 600,000, I think.
Oh, it
was horrible.
Yeah, the losses.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about Lincoln is self-taught. There's never been a greater wordsmith. You can read his speeches, you can read his letters, and today they still resonate.
Yeah. It's true. We have these towering figures like that. And so you took those studies at Harvard? It's at Vassar then?
Vassar and then NYU.
Now, in NYU, did you take? When did you get the Masters of? What do you
the
call
MBA,
it? MBA.
Back in the mid '80s.
Did that mean a transition in your life scheme or your life program you wanted to do? You wanted to get into business?
For 5 minutes.
5 minutes. It lasted that long. Right?
I got my.
You actually got the degree though.
I got the MBA.
You had to go through a lot of the accounting and the book thing and filling in forms and.
I made friends with kids who would. I cheated my way through the MBA program. I'm not proud of it, but I did.
You cheated? You didn't cheat? No, you.
Is
this a pattern for your life?
I like to think so.
Are you a cheater?
I like to avoid the constrictions of rules and regulations.
The inquisitioner. Avoid the inquisitioner, maybe, or the executioner. It's a good trait if you can do it.
You can do it.
Avoid the bad. You remember a song? Maybe not old enough, I sing a little song.
Please.
You gotta accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and latch on to the affirmative, and don't you mess with Mr. In-Between. You gotta spread joy up to a maximum, spread gloom down to a minimum, and have faith in pandemonium, liable to walk upon the scene. Do you like pandemonium? Do you like chaos?
No.
Do you like
chaos?
No?
I'm too
structured.
Maybe it's a little OCD.
Insecure?
Definite.
I'm very proud you're able to admit to that.
Oh, no. I'm very
so many of us can't
I'm very
admit
insecure.
To it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not insecure, you're not conscious, I think, in a world that we're living in now with all the baloney that's going on.
That is absolute
There's much
truth.
reason to feel insecure, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Personally and collectively.
I'm not going to argue that point because you're speaking wisdom.
No, well, I just think it's sort of obvious and everything like that.
Not to everybody. There are a lot of people who delude themselves into thinking that...
Well, they don't think about it.
They're not thinkers.
A lot of people know. Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Do you think the ability is biological from day one? You're given that ability?
Well, I don't know quite how to deal with that. You're given a brain and...
not everyone's given the right chemicals in their brain.
You think, really? Yeah.
From day one.
Well, there is difference, isn't there? Yeah, there's difference.
What makes Einstein and me?
That's a really interesting question. Yeah, it really is. I think it's 200 trillion cells in a human organism.
Wow. Wow.
That's a lot.
All of them carrying codes.
Well, no, all of them individualized, and they're all part of a system. And then you could put that out into the human condition. We got how many people? 7 billion. Now we're heading, and
I haven't counted.
could they count like the cells of a human organism? And could you get to a thing where we're going to see the world as a great big gigantic jam session, or something of liberated human beings? Are you optimistic for the human prospect, or not? And then also, is it necessary, as it has been? You could have been not optimistic for the... No, how am I going to word this? It's a little tricky. There are times in history, say Abraham Lincoln's time, that you could have been pessimistic about the prospects for humanity, and those prospects, in terms of the systems thinking of the whole system, were not nearly as consequential as they are now, along the line of the weapons capability to destroy humanity. We've really made a lot of progress in that. They've got 600,000 deaths from the the Civil War between people like that. But they're still living okay in Asia and other places, human beings, and doing that. We were impotent in our destructive capability. Now, we've made all that progress where we can now set off a series of little things that go. There's, the weapons that are there on hair trigger alert. Apparently, we can wipe out the whole Homo sapiens species. That's progress.
It's progress.
For feeling a little bit uncertain
but
about or comfortable with the way things is.
I remind you, when you were a child, how many people got polio? How many people died of rubella?
Thank you. You're bringing some balance.
So you asked if I'm optimistic.
My daddy died at 48 years old only. There was no streptokinase. You heard of streptokinase? If you have a heart attack and you got a blood clot, you stick that in and blow it apart like Drano. And you live another 30, 40, 50 years, But they didn't have it then, so they died a short, ugly life, for a large part. But the larger question about how the progress has been made to where we've become ever more skilled at killing other people in the name of weaponry. Yeah.
But balance that against the incredible work that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has done. They have wiped off the planet river blindness.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, okay.
And that is only in a 20-year span. So in as much as the technology and capability to destroy is moving forward, you asked me if I was an optimist. I choose to believe...
Did I ask you?
You asked me if I was an optimist.
I would ask you if I hadn't. Are you an optimist?
Did
I?
And
okay.
I have great hope. I'm a futurist.
Good for you.
And
Good
before
for you.
they destroy humanity, we'll be living out there somewhere. We'll be on enough planets that maybe it'll be impossible.
Do you think we are going to go to other planets? It seems to me incredible to think we could go out to other planets. I suppose you could make it a metaphor with Mr. Columbus coming to a whole new world, but that was all within a certain environmental context that made some sense. But to go out on another planet,
remember Magellan? For how long in the history? You talk about 200,000 years of humanity.
Well, that's
before,
the best.
How long were they looking at the stars and not understanding we were a speck of dust? And how long do they think the Earth was flat? And if you sailed too far, you'd fall off.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
So we know now how little we know. That's the thing that amazes me. We now know, we're beginning to fathom just how little we know.
Do you think we're the population in... No, you've given thought to things I can see. You've thought on that, and you can see that. But there's a great number of people who wouldn't be able to conceive of that quite the way you'd be able to do. How far we've come. Or take into adequate consideration how far we've come. Or another way of doing it is we take the negative... It had to do it by projection of, projecting on information systems and everything, but the destructive, and then there'd be some criteria by which you could measure the progress. by what criteria do we measure collectively the progress that the Homo sapiens species has made in the 200,000? That's when we first appeared, apparently, from all the
ending of hunger, the ending of disease, the ending of want.
There's still a lot of hunger, want, and disease and injustice, right?
A tremendous amount,
but we have a great capability to deal with those things that we've not had out of history. We couldn't bring good water to everybody like we can now.
There are more people who are convinced that your philosophy of systems is the right one, and there are more people who are concerned with giving clean drinking water to every person on the planet.
No, we couldn't have done it in the 18th century.
No,
there was no way.
You
have to have all kinds of technological things and developments and thought and process and everything like that in order to make available things that are of the positive side of things, that it takes time to have those things, that the infrastructure for a good way of life for people has to be built. And it's been built up the positive side. The same time, the negative side, with the weaponry and fighting over trying to get better for your own at the expense of others somewhere else, has held.
So let me ask you.
There's a lot of conflicting and mutually hard to inter-accommodate actions and processes in the history of our species up to the moment.
In the same vein, I wanted to ask you, because I've been curious, I'm fascinated by the thought you've given to subjects that are of importance to me. The notion of leaving a mark has been, I want to know if you consider it baggage that we have egos and Carnegie and Rockefeller have their names on libraries, or the fact that the libraries exist and that they built them is, I'm just curious to what extent we have a concern and an obsession with leaving our name behind is unnecessary baggage, or it's an energy and a positive good?
Really interesting question. I haven't thought much about it, to tell you the truth. I haven't thought much about it. I really don't know. The psychologists can talk about the conscious and unconscious. It exists, Freud and so forth, and we understand the whole mental or neurological process better. We're coming to know things better in a real sense rather than mystic or something. And I really don't know what to say about people putting their names on things. What about people having living? I wonder if Abraham Lincoln was worried about what his posterity would think or not. Probably he had some thought along those lines, even as he was going through great anguish personally and at a level of high national responsibility and everything. I don't know. You ask a conundrum question. You ask a question. It's a very serious one. I should think about it for a little while. You know,
I'll come back on your show.
Well, maybe. I guess maybe that's. I'm thinking about that a lot. But the role for the ego and the id and all that, it seems to be structured that way. We seem to be structured that way, and I guess we had to be structured the way we were in order to get to be the way we is. Is there something? Is that a dictum, or is that an axiomatic thing? We had to be structured in a certain way that may seem irrational, but had to be in order to get to where we had to get. Do you understand something? It's not a very elegant way of putting it.
No, it's accurate.
But it's been a hard grind.
Yeah.
Human history.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, of scarcity and inadequacy and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the people you and I work with, is it about the storyteller or the story being told?
All right. Yeah. Okay.
We make
interesting. Yeah.
We make
You're a storyteller, aren't you?
I am.
You'd like to count yourself a storyteller.
That's what we do in our little short films. We like telling stories.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to. I want to get to you as a filmmaker.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Important to us to
but
tell.
But that theme you introduced is a good one to talk about the storytelling and the passing on and the connection of the generations and all these very important questions
Connective
of placing
tissue.
Ourselves in the scheme of history, or in the scheme of the whole of evolutionary process itself. Yeah.
Remember,
very interesting.
Most of history up. I mean, you and I have spoken about technology, how it's changing at such a rapid pace.
Exponential.
And documenting it all
Mm-hmm.
is becoming virtual and digital.
Yeah.
99% of human history is passed down oral history up to this point.
Wait a minute, you think oral?
For 200,000 years
right.
before
spell that out again. Of the oral history for since Christ or something, or what? Some
before
arbitrary
Christ.
Before,
as long as man has been here.
Yeah.
The need to pass knowledge down has been accompanied with the need to tell stories.
You're right. You're right. Yeah,
and,
that's true. Yeah.
So
the theater, early theater. Yeah, right.
And
telling stories around the campfire and everything. Yeah.
Well, if you like to tell stories, go back to Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Story.
Why don't we go to why don't we Shakespeare? Why don't we go to somebody who really know how to write? Like my cousin Jake, he really can,
He can spin a yarn.
Yeah, he can spin a yarn.
Yeah.
No, wasn't he something else, man? Wasn't he something else? Yeah. Go ahead. Storytelling.
Well, it's when we make films, except for a film.
You're making films. Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Yeah. Well, it's as important to tell small stories about interesting characters who might be marginalized, overlooked, as it is to tell the story of Abraham Lincoln. It's not every life that's documented needs to be a celebrity. We like to talk about people who just have an interesting story to tell.
Everybody probably does. I'll bet you every single person, if you just got the right script, and what are you getting a script on getting somebody's life? Is somebody's going to put that into a form where it becomes a story with legs? Then it gets to be what they call, and then it's got a venue for the people who tell those stories in a very meaningful way. They're called actors, and talent, we got show business.
Yeah, except
we got one part of show business. Like
we're not focused on actors.
We're messing with important stuff here now. That's why I'm having a hard time getting my mind around a little bit. But it's very important.
Let me help you. Because
help.
These are not actors.
Yeah.
These are people living their lives. Yeah. We're just sharing elements of their life with others. They're not acting. They are, in essence, letting us tell their story. So the important thing is...
Well, okay, that's the difference between an actor playing the role of somebody who was just living their life. Abraham Lincoln just led her life. Somebody else plays the role in the year 2020 or something. He's acting about it. Or some people just talk spontaneously or something. There's something important here, and I can't get my mind around it in a way. The idea of the authentic, of the individual, or the individual. There's 100. Is that true, David? My son is biological. I'm not sure. You can, isn't it wonderful they got this internet thing that came up? You can do everything is available to you. The information. It's amazing. You did work at academia, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Remember how you used to go in the stacks?
The stacks with the Dewey Decimal
and you'd say,
System.
"Please, librarian, could you take a half an hour to see if you could find this book? I've got to look at chapter 3, page 7." And you would go and you'd wait, and it would be dusty, and you would go and you get a book and you'd turn it over. You turn it in. Now you go and you want to look up anything. Zoom, it's there almost. And
not yet everything. No. We're getting there.
Wikipedia is amazing.
It's
amazing on every field, and they got standards of it, and that's literate, right? Mm-hmm. And you're talking about storytelling. Storytelling is best done around a campfire. That's probably the way it was done, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
How else are you going to do it? You don't have a stage or anything.
Or
if you're a cave person back in there, think back over that. You'd be telling a story about the big lion that was there or whatever.
And more stories.
And you're passing on the story of human knowledge.
Yeah. You learned it at the feet of your parents. They would share stories about their parents.
But you probably had some people better storytellers than others, do you think? They could add a little something to it?
Yeah, I think that there are people who I don't think it's necessarily acumen, practice. I think it's just something you're born with. They're naturally gifted storytellers, and then there are people who, I'll tell you, it's...
Are those like poets, maybe? Or
maybe they have an inner voice.
Okay,
it's an inner voice,
okay.
And they know what...
It's important stuff, yeah.
Yeah. But it's no different than comedy. Yeah. Not everyone can tell a joke. Not everyone can, what sets apart a brilliant comic from somebody who's just an inner voice of what's funny.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a lot of storytelling. Not everyone can tell a story that engages.
Yeah, and really grab you.
Yeah,
yeah. They're called in the biz stars. They have stars.
Well, they're stars.
And those largely have been actors. In the movie, we had to go through. It had to be a book. You had to write a book, okay? There was the book you had to do. Then you could be able to have a stage actors. Stage actors used to be thought of. They have a church in New York around where we were living, a church around the corner or something. It was a church back in Civil War days that allowed actors in to have that, because actors were thought of as lying people. They were lying. Because they weren't
actors.
You understand? They were
were not considered as proper society,
like ladies of the night or some sort of like that. And now there are stars, right?
They enjoy the cult of celebrity,
and then they also go very quickly into what you're talking about. The store of human knowledge can be told. You see somebody, Michio Kaku, or somebody talking about something really meaningful. Aspect of, and then with graphics. Enhancement of graphics and multimedia and everything. You can get really a big education without one single letter of the alphabet involved. You don't have to have letters under it. You can have it all done multimedia, which is the way you experience the world when you walk through it. You don't have to walk through the world with all kinds of letters everywhere like that, or the literacy. We're getting over literacy.
I hope we're not.
No, I think we are.
I hope we're not. I want to still have people who know how to go and read a historic marker on the side of a building and understand what came before. I want people to read classics.
I can think of one, fire exit. That would be a good to be able to read or something. You could, but maybe you could have some sort of other image or something. No, but I think it's going that way. Toward the way we were when we were in the wilderness.
You're talking about the assimilation of knowledge.
Yeah, the educational process. Well, everything is so interesting. The world and everything, all the biological processes and the life of dolphins and the life of these, and it's so interesting. They do some pretty good things like Nova and things like that, where they present the store of human knowledge in a way that is artfully presented with good graphics and good video skills and things like that. And you're just passing on all kinds of information without one letter of the alphabet having to be there. You got a voice. And if you translate that voice into the languages of the world, you can educate the world at the highest level of illuminating the human condition. And I think we're moving that way.
The problem there is...
And you're in the van of that, young man.
No. Well, I still like to tell stories
that is telling
that doesn't necessarily completely depend on multimedia. I still write. And I still believe
Can't you get over that?
I don't want to get over it. I'm a Luddite. I'm a Luddite. I don't think all technology is good.
Well, I think humanity
25-year-olds
why do they have to learn to read?
Will look at their phone and watch cat videos all day.
Watch what?
Cat videos.
What's a cat video?
Cat video they see on YouTube or Snapchat or something like that.
Well, I don't know these things. Is that
you're better off not knowing.
Is pornography or something?
No, it says to the...
What is it? I don't know what. You mean the quality of the programming is not that good?
They don't have filters.
Filters against what?
Against consuming all this garbage knowledge.
What garbage? You mean the store of human...
I think...
It's not well put together.
I think there's...
Educationally relevant.
I think we are inundating and flooding people who are younger that do not know how to discipline their minds to what they consume, and the vacuous nature of a lot of what they see on Facebook and whatever. I don't know
how to make Facebook work.
You're better off not.
Yeah.
Although actually...
Should I learn?
You
I
should
try to learn. You need a 7-year-old to learn how to get access to it all.
So do you know what
how
the definition of a good life is? A good life is...
No, wait a minute. Everybody, write this down.
Write
Say
this
it slow
down.
to all the kiddies.
Right.
Everybody, get your slate and your chalk and write this down.
This is a personal philosophy.
The philosophy of the good life.
The good life.
Here it is. Now, wait a minute. Writing. Everybody got your pens and pencil? Okay, go.
They got it. The good life,
my
personal philosophy is one that is bracketed.
Bracketed.
You try to have, as long as the prism allows, you try to encircle your existence with people who are in your life 25 years younger than you, 25 years older than you. From the older, you get wisdom and counsel. From the younger, you get perspective and new ways to look at things. And I think a bracketed life, as long as the window closes as you get older, it's hard for me now to find people 30, 40 years older than me, but as long as you are willing...
They've all gone on the big trip to the, right.
But as long as you're willing to accept knowledge from those much... our sound engineer's under 30, our cameraman's a kid. The technology that you don't necessarily have to learn the technology, but you learn the way they do it. And that is an education.
The way they do it, education? Or what the product, the way you...
the
product that they produce is important.
The product,
like say, the really good presentation of the theory of relativity, or something intellectually stimulating, or the life of Lincoln with all good graphics and all kinds of beautiful things done without a single letter of the alphabet. Voice and sensorial...
who would have thought?
That's the difference. I know what you're saying has
Carl
meaning.
Sagan was somebody who, for the first time, made very difficult concepts available. And now it's Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
And you look at someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's a rock star. The man is explaining...
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Those people, or Michio Kaku does stuff, or
he's a rock star.
Yeah.
Kurzweil, your friend.
Kurzweil's intellectual. Yeah.
We now respect intelligence, I like to believe, and we now admire such accomplishment in very varied fields. I don't know anything about... entropy, but I can sit and watch nova.
It's the second law of thermodynamics.
Well, there you go.
The universe works that way. The second law of thermodynamics, all the systems move toward chaos to the limits of the system within a closed system. That's the way the system is set up. That's the way the universe is set up.
Were you a physicist?
No, I'm not anything. I'm just interested in everything. I think there should be a department of everything at the university. Department of everything. That's all. Rather than all the specializations and everything.
Specialization ties your hands.
I think so. And yet that's the pattern that is, and it gets more and more and more specialized. All kinds of stuff about one thing and nothing about everything. People should be knowing something about everything, big patterns, and multimedia can do. Well, I think I'm partial to multimedia, but you said something that was very enticing to me about bracketing. Or something. Was that an age thing you were thinking?
Yeah, just
or a state of mind, or what?
There are individuals in my life who have very young outlooks, who are older. It's less a state of mind and more what you are able to absorb from people at different points in life.
Yeah, there seem to be stages,
there's a maturity and a wisdom that comes only with time, and by the same token, there's an optimism and an ability that you could do anything when you're young.
20-year-old, when you're 20 years old, you can do anything
25, you think you're invulnerable. Yeah. And the reality is, they're risk takers, they're entrepreneurs.
They get things done.
They get things done. So, to the extent...
Breakthroughs are often done by the young. Yeah, I think so, don't you think?
I do.
In the course of human events. There's other creatures, too, we're part of.
Yeah.
So it's a larger context within which we're operating and everything.
Absolutely.
But these are interesting things, and I still think you do. I appreciate. The trouble is, you're really very interesting. You bring up interesting things. This bracketing thing, But anyway, we can talk over a beer or something.
I
But
would enjoy that.
an
IPA.
Was an IPA.
We'll go. You know what? We'll go to McSorley's.
What's IPA?
What does IPA stand for?
Under the table drunk?
India Pale Ale.
India Pale Ale.
India Pale Ale.
Yeah.
That's my son's favorite. No, I don't drink beer, but what I was trying to get at is you're doing these. You've made. It's interesting. Okay. Now you and your colleague have made interesting programs for Channel 13.
Well,
in New
they're
York.
airing not just on Channel 13.
Yeah, but that's
they're airing on PBS.
There's serious programming
across the country.
on Channel 13 in the public television system. There is serious programming going on.
They're wonderful people.
Absolutely.
Public
That's where you get
television is
Nova and you get
wonderful.
all the major programs. To be in that league and putting programs into that mix is a great accomplishment. In order to meet, to do it. Tell us about that. What have you done? You've done 1 or 2 or 3 films. Tell me about it. What was the process? What is your thought about doing more of that kind of thing? Or do you understand what I'm saying?
I am.
You're dealing with not just any old thing around the corner, but you're dealing with a major system of having access to the store of human knowledge in a multimedia way, which I think is the future of communication and education. But you tell me what your films were and how it came about, and what were they about, and how did it come about?
My writing partner, Marianne Rothberg, and that's why I always say writing is the starting point of everything. And
Okay.
my writing partner and I have now made 3 documentary films that are airing on public television networks around the country.
Congratulations to you both.
Well, it's not
No,
about
I'm serious.
Thank you.
I'm serious. That's kudos.
Well,
that's really a major thing. That's a breakthrough to be able to be in that network of people and that network of serious concern by the serious members of our society. And I congratulate you being part of that coterie.
It's kind of
seriously.
It's less about an ego trip, and
No,
it's
all
more
right.
about, you know what it is?
It's art.
about having fun. We both have lived lives that have been occupied with either raising a family or making a living, and we're now at a stage in life where we want to do things that are creative and fun, and these films, we came together to achieve that. Our first movie
was, tell me.
Which I brought a little trailer clip for.
We got
is
it,
called Do Not Duplicate. And it's about an eccentric gentleman who lives in the village, who owns the smallest freestanding building in all of New York. It's a locksmith shop.
Right.
And he was the locksmith for Andy Warhol, for Bill Clinton. And it's a story about his creating a masterpiece of artwork that was his gift to New York.
You read a clip.
We brought a little
Listen,
clip.
we got a way of helping to educate me and the world to the realities through the use of multimedia. Why don't we run that clip and stop me talking and let us look at a clip that's helping to educate people in a very interesting way? You're talking with our guest, John Mann. So let's run that clip. But make sure we get this in. And I'm really pleased to be able to do that. And we'll just let the clip speak for itself. Is there any writing in it at all? Any text, underscoring text?
No, I don't believe there
Run
was.
the tape.
I had a lady come in yesterday with a lock that was probably 150 years old. And she was so unaware of what she had there and how rare it was. I quoted her a cheap price only because I wanted to do the job. She thought it was too much money. Her husband calls me up and says, "We're gonna buy a new one." I said, "How are you gonna buy it?" "Somebody will come over, screw it all up, and make it look like shit." The gift that I have, okay, from the creator or whatever the hell it is, I don't know, in my hands. As long as I could see something and hold it in my hands, I can do it. Because I pick up these keys about once a week, usually get about 100 pounds, 150 pounds of keys. And but they got to be sorted out. I got a lot of different guys who collect scrap, and when I gave the word out, I said, listen, I'll pay you more for the keys than you can get at the scrapyard. 3 or 4 years ago, I made a collage on this door with all these keys, I figured, okay, I'll just do it, and I like it, if nobody else likes it, it's fine. Well, people went bananas over this door, man. They went fucking crazy. So I said, I'd like to make a chair out of keys. So I made the chair out of keys. People loved that even more than the door. Then I said, I'm going to cover the fucking building in keys.
You learn techniques, you master them, but then as you progress, you actually find something that's much more unique, much more personal.
In art, I think everyone ultimately is looking for truth. And everyone wants to get as close to the bone as possible.
A locksmith and an artist is very similar. I mean, the more you do, the more you see, the more you draw. Somebody could teach you how to draw, and then after that, it's just, you got to do a lot of practice. Being a good safecracker is all about experience. My second wife had a good analogy, man. She said when she was a kid growing up, she had this cat. She loved this cat so much, and every now and then this cat would disappear. It wouldn't come back for a week, and she'd be so worried about it. And this cat would come back and be all tattered up and beaten up, and she'd have to nurse it back to health, and then the cat would go back out again. She says, that's you.
On the one hand, it speaks to his lifelong profession, being a locksmith. And certainly when you look at all these myriad keys sort of swirling about in this composition, you think of all the keys that perhaps he's made and all of the interactions that he's had with people. His art relates to his profession, but also in some broader sense to a greater story about New York.
As time goes by, it will be a Greenwich Village, certainly, but a New York City and an American landmark.
Everybody's in jobs that they don't like, they're in relationships they don't like, and they're just afraid to make a move. And I didn't raise my kids because I had to, it's because I wanted to. All these obligations I had did them because I wanted to, not because the government was going to tell me I had to do it, or morality, or the police was going to tell me. I did it because I wanted to.
Do not duplicate. That's beautiful. That's really good. That's really good. I like
you.
that a
Thank
lot.
you.
That's good. That was beautiful work he was doing too. Lots of stuff like we were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good. Well
mean,
done. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. But Marianne and I appreciate that we might be able to find the stories, but on our own we can't tell them. And we need the help of really gifted people who have great eyes. We worked with a cameraman and an editor, Sean McGing. We're working with someone now, a fellow by the name of Sam Ryder. We have an audio guy, Christopher Day, who's got genius in audio. The music.
Yeah.
A friend of mine has his own garage band, the Coffin Daggers. Peter Clarnett.
Yeah.
His band did all the music for us. So, when you tell a story, it's not you telling the story.
Yeah.
It's a team of people that you bring together that add to the components.
Yeah.
So, and the story we want to tell about you, same thing.
You're going to tell a story about me?
We want to do a little film about you as well, and your son is doing a film about you.
Yeah, right. Okay, good, fine. Okay, I'm up for it. Yeah, right.
So when you tell stories, I think what we appreciate is recognizing there's a story to be told and then letting other people help us tell it.
A story about me. Wow! No,
I'm not saying anything you don't know.
No. Everybody should be having a team making a story about they or everybody. That's really good. And you notice it was doing, the guy's personality came through. You had footage of them. Now, if you're going to tell a story about Citizen A, you have to be in touch with Citizen A, I guess. Can you do it with a historical figure?
It's
you can
more difficult, and it is a different style
First, they're not
and
there.
discipline.
You can't shoot
There
a
are
corpse.
people who have done wonderful documentaries about Cleopatra. It's a whole nother discipline, and not something that I personally think I'm able to tackle. But, I'm still holding hopes that I'll do a documentary about a World War II case or something that I'm not going to be able to talk to the protagonists, but it's recent enough so that I can still talk to people who knew the protagonists.
Now, how do you get ideas? There'd be just endless things you could
One of
think
our
about.
films is a function of the fact that I love pickles. Who would
have thunk?
Who'd have thunk? One of our films is called Half Sour, and is in a pickle.
I'm glad somebody started talking for the sour pickle contingent.
Every day, I'd walk to my office on Houston Street and pass on Carmine Street these kids who set up a pickle stand, like a farmer's market. And I would buy pickles because I loved them. And every day I'd go by and I'd realize there's some common thread here. They're all kids in their early 20s, and they've got a lot of ink, and it's a changing cast of characters. A lot of tattoos.
A lot of
ink tattoos.
Is that a term for ink? Street term for ink?
Yeah. And they have skateboards, and I started to just ask this. All storytelling comes with being inquisitive, and I would ask, Derek wasn't here Wednesday, and you're here today, and we discovered that they all live communally on Long Island, and they all come. A lot of them came from broken homes, and they all formed this business together to make pickles, to sell at farmers markets, to cover their expenses, and their priorities were skateboarding and making pickles. And that was one of our films, and it only came from asking questions. I've watched you.
Have you done that?
I do that.
Is that been let out to the public?
It's out now on public television stations.
Really?
And
how long are the clips? Always about the same length, or so? Are they 10 minutes? Or
no. Our first film is 30 minutes.
30.
Yeah,
what was that?
That's the do not duplicate.
This was a clip from that.
That was a clip from it.
I'm glad there was more.
Oh, there's a lot more.
That guy, it was really interesting.
Yeah, he's a character.
He was making art too.
He's a character.
Yeah.
And then Half Sour is about 15 minutes about these kids. And then we did a film that is a very short 12-minute film that I'm proud of called Trashing History. And it's all about whether or not you can save for posterity everything and realizing you can't. And a lot of it's about an archivist, a young archivist who realizes his job isn't just to preserve, but to discard and clean up the historic record, because you can't save it all.
Now let me ask you something. If you think about all the interesting clips, 10 minutes with storytelling like you had with that guy, or the key fellow, there must be, there was an old thing on television, there's a million stories in New York City or something. There must be billions and billions of clips like that could be made about the human condition, people in Zimbabwe. Or, it's endless what could be done in terms of storytelling.
I think everybody has something unique to offer. And
that's encouraging in itself.
I find you inspiring because I've watched you. You have the same inquisitive nature. You talk to 5-year-olds.
I love 5-year-olds are my favorite people, I think.
I watch you
except that I talk on this show about the teacher, the kindergarten teacher. There's a new television ad. Because 5-year-olds are my favorite human beings. They have no artifice at all.
No filters.
They're totally honest. They're just totally honest.
And you love,
what a funny dog.
You love interviewing them.
Oh, well, I love interrelating with them, but they got the ad with the lady. It's just caught my eye. She's teaching the kindergarten, and they're out of control. They're banging him, and she says, my vacation's really important to me to add something, but it was really fun. Yeah, yes, I'm a sucker for 5-year-olds.
If I put in
Absolute
this
sucker.
chair somebody you had never met, somebody I grabbed off the street and put him here, I would wager you could have a conversation with them for an hour and not
easy.
So you have
Absolutely
that same inquisitive storytelling need. You want to understand other people's lives.
It does, and I'm also trying to put it in a larger context and everything like that.
Yeah.
Are you trying to put your work into a larger intellectual context that has, let's say, political meaning or national security or international relations or any of those systems that the politicians are all bent out of shape about? We only got a couple of minutes left, so if you got something, let it get into it. We got 2 minutes.
2 minutes I can handle. It's been a privilege. It's been an honor. I very much admire and respect the pantheon of people you have spoken with.
Well, I respect what you and she have put together. I really do. I really
honestly
like that,
wouldn't do it if it wasn't a passion.
Yeah, good.
And
it's good to be.
If it wasn't for the opportunity to work with people like your son David, like Christopher Day, like Sam Ryder, like Sean McGing, like all these people who are part of our lives.
Yeah.
If I didn't do this, I'd be alone and miserable and eating takeout
What
pizza.
would you do if you're eating pizza on a park bench in the middle of a dreary
Fighting
night?
off the
Once
pigeons.
upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over a many quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. We've got to get on with that. There's Mr. Poe, right? But
Good old Edgar.
It's really interesting, and it's part of the education of the world of the thing. It's an art form for sure, and it's very, very interesting. And I do think it does spell out that the use. You couldn't have done that 25, 30 years ago.
No,
it's part of the thing that's becoming available. Art form that's coming available to us to become better acquainted with each other, if that's right, through storytelling, which they always did around the campfire, but now they can do it in a way where it can get around the world. This could get around the world. And if you keep the print out, and if you get the voice and the language of the place, it could be universal. These themes could be universal and appreciated on a universal. You could have a universal market. Or not market's the wrong term, a place where they could be shown. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking.
Absolutely. It's only serendipity that I was born when I was, and I have this opportunity. 100 years ago, I would have been heavily medicated and institutionalized, probably.
Know the feeling well. Know the feeling
Sir,
well. Thank you, Johnny.
This is an honor.
It's
really
an honor
is.
for me. It's an honor for me,
Thank
and it's
you.
a pleasure for y'all to have the pleasures in of John, and happy to bring those to you. And let's stay in touch, okay?
I would love it.
And we'll report back and everything. It's your pleasure to have his perception, his very interesting take on things and the work that they're doing, and to thanks for all the people involved in putting this together. And so that's about it, John. But let's make sure we do some more of this. And thanks a lot for all the good work, and let's by all means stay in touch.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for viewing. We'll be coming back again tomorrow, so tune in to Conversations. Thank you very much. Okay, we still got 4 seconds.
3.
Say something.
2, 1. Boom!
Okay, well, we both hit boom right on the button. All right, yeah. Okay, that's it, brother.
That's it.